Welcome to this week's blog. Okay, what would you do if you knew in advance that you were going to be paying more for your credit card debt? You'd be paying more for student loan debt. You'd be paying more for possibly even your mortgage, depending on what kind of mortgage you have. If interest rates were going to climb and you knew it in advance, would you do anything about it? Would you make any adjustments or make any changes? You see, that's happening right now. There is some stuff happening around the world, headlines around the world, that the U.S. media is not reporting on. A top advisor right now to the Chinese government is calling for a global reset, a global currency, one to replace the U.S. dollar. You know, not just the dollar, but a global currency for everybody. Now, that's been talked about for quite a while, but this former chief economist for the World Bank, he's advising the Chinese government that the time has come now for a single global currency. Now, we know as believers that in the end times, the world will go towards that direction, that there will be a single currency of the mark of the beast and so on and so forth. So we know that that day is coming. We just don't know when that day is. However, there's enough undercurrent right now happening in China to really make this something to stop and pay attention to. This advisor, who is also a professor at Peking University, he says the root, the cause of all the global chaos, it all lies in the U.S. dollar. You know, when you consider how reckless the Federal Reserve has been in just printing money and just creating debt and, you know, making nothing out of nothing, really, I can't blame the world for saying enough is enough. When you look at the debt ratio and what we've created and how we've endangered, you know, many parts of the world by our financial just stupidity, I can see how people would say enough is enough. But it's getting to the point now where China is large enough and big enough to actually do something to it. And when global power, you know, when it shifts to the east, you know, when it moves from the west to the east, it's going to affect everybody. And most Americans, they don't even know what's coming. They don't even know what's happening behind the scenes because our media is not talking about this. In fact, if you want to read this story, you have to go to the Chinese newspaper. The news agency in China is the one that's reporting this, and it's naming who the economist is, it's naming who the advisor is, it's giving details on what the Chinese government is talking about doing. Last November, the Chinese government said they're going to stop stockpiling U.S. dollars, which meaning they weren't going to buy the debt any longer. And as that continues now into the spring, they're doing less and less, and they're backing further and further away. And now they're being advised to not only stop, you know, buying the U.S. dollar, stop buying U.S. debt, but they're being advised to create a brand new currency. And most Americans don't even understand how this will affect them. You know, when the dollar is no longer the dollar, you know, we have gained quite a bit by having the dollar be the world's currency. But we're going to lose that. That era may be coming to an end. And when that power shifts from the west to the east, it affects everybody, folks. And I just want to kind of say, just keep your eyes and ears out there and do some research and look at this. And you have to understand, the media in China is completely controlled by the Chinese government. Now, I know the American media here, we say is controlled by the government, and the government has influence on it. But in China, that's the truth. That's a well-known fact. The government of China is the one that dictates the media. So when the government of China says this is what they're thinking, or when this story breaks, the government's aware of it. So we need to understand that they're really pushing towards this one world currency, really pushing moving away from the dollar, really pushing having the power go from the west to the east. And when it does, everything changes. You'd be paying more for everything, and interest rates will go up. The American debt, what we're paying on, that interest rate will go up. So that means everything we buy will cost more. Inflation will skyrocket. So your own personal debt, interest rates will go up. Inflation will cause everything we buy to go up. It's going to be a different world. Are you ready for that? Are you prepared for that? If you knew this was coming, would you do anything about it? God bless you.